Today we are going to become reading detectives. The amazingly adapted polar bear. Animals have special adaptations that help them survive in their habitats. One of the most interesting is the polar bear of the Arctic. To stay warm, polar bears have 2 layers of fur, and the hair of the outer coats are hollow, increasing their insulating ability. They also have a thick, warm coat of fur below the outer coat. Underneath their fur, polar bears have black skin, which helps them absorb heat. Underneath that skin, polar bears can put on a layer of fat for even more insulation. In fact, during the cold winters, this fat may be over 4 inches thick. So the author keeps talking about how polar bears survive. And that tells me that the paragraph is probably mostly about their adaptations and their environment. Adaptations are how animals change to survive in their environment.
So kind of like our dogs in the winter and their fur gets thick.
Yeah, that is. So now that we know that the main idea is survival and adaptations, we're going to keep reading and we're going to look further into finding more details. Can you finish reading this passage for me?
Polar bears in warm weather zoos can also adapt quite well. When living in a warm climate, they don't put on the thick fat layer because extra insulation isn't needed. White polar bears do occasionally eat seed, vegetation, and berries. They prefer to hunt. In fact, they are the best hunters of all bears. When on land, they often camouflage themselves by placing their paws over their black nose and mouth. Polar bears have the best vision of any bear and excellent sense of smell. Fur and rough bumps on the soles of their wide, snowshoe-like feet provide traction on ice. Polar bears are well adapted for swimming to ice floes in search of their favorite food, seals. They use their partially webbed front feet to paddle while steering with their back feet. They have a more elongated body and head than other bears. This shape helps them move through the water. In fact, this marine mammal can swim for 60 miles without stopping.
Holy, 60 miles. Okay, now that we have finished reading, we are going to highlight the key details that the polar bear uses for their survival adaptations. Here, you may go through and you can highlight what you think are the key details of survival for polar bears. Good job. We are done reading and highlighting. So now we are going to get a paper with the main idea, and we must cut out the possible details that support the main idea. And when you have found the correct details, place them under the main idea and put the other ones that don't seem correct to the side. So here is the paper, and it says the main idea at the top. You're going to cut that, and then you're going to cut out the other parts, and you're going to put the main idea under the main idea. Here's your paper and your scissors. Okay, now you should read over them and put the correct ones under the main. Oh, not correct. Good. 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 Nope. Good. You have 4 under there. So let me look through them. Very good job. Which details belong with the main idea? Which ones did you choose?
Camouflage when hunting. Have 2 layers of fur to stay warm. Have black skin, thick layer of fat for heat, attraction, and insulation. Has partially webbed feet so they could swim for 60 miles for food.
Good job. Yes. Can you show me in the passage where these details are?
Camouflage themselves for hunting. They have 2 layers of fur and thick, warm coat. Have black skin.
Good.
And they could swim for 60 miles without stopping.
Good job. Okay. So now that you have sorted these and highlighted your passage, you can now fill out the main idea graphic organizer all on your own. So here is the graphic organizer. It says the main idea is at the top. You're going to fill in that line. Then there's 3 boxes underneath that say supporting detail from text. You're going to fill in each of the 3 boxes with supporting details from the text that support the main idea. Here you go. And here's your pencil. Take your time so I can read your writing, but when you are finished, can you please hand it in to me?
Okay.
Great job. Good job. All of these skills will help you in the near future when you have to read and you have to identify things from text and find the main idea and find supporting details. So now that you have learned about adaptations and the polar bear adaptations that keep them alive in their environment, we're going to play a few virtual games based off of different animals and their adaptations in their environments. So, the first game is on organisms' physical features that they have adapted to help them survive in their environment. So you are going to have to drag the boxes on the bottom of the screen to the correct boxes under the plants or the animals. When you have finished putting all the boxes in the correct spot, you can hit the blue check box to check over your answers. Raise your hand if you have any questions as you are matching the adaptations to the pictures when you are done. So we're going to pull up your first game. Here's the first game. The boxes on the bottom are going to go in the boxes under the pictures. Read them and put them where they belong. Ooh.
Why did I get those ones wrong?
Okay, you got that one wrong. These ones wrong. Okay, we'll go through them. So, penguins, they don't have too many heat things because they're in the cold. So they have the dense feathers and body fat to keep them to keep their heat. It's not heat sensing pits. It's to keep the heat. And then the fox has large ears to release heat, not keep any heat in. And then a snake, they are the heat sensing pits that detect the warm prey in hot environments. Okay, so now that you are done, we are going to move to your second game. Do you have any questions on the first one, or did we cover it? Okay, we covered it. Okay, now the second game. The second game is very similar to the first, but this one is about the physical adaptations and behavioral adaptations. Physical adaptations are observable features of the animal, and behavior are the way that they act or the things that they do. You're going to drag the adaptations at the bottom to the side that you believe that they belong to. When you have all of your answers in the box that you want them to go to, you're going to go to the bottom of the page and click the blue button that says check, and it's going to give you direct feedback on the answers. If you do not get a 10 out of 10, I would like you to keep trying until you get out a 10 out of 10. So you may start your second game of physical adaptations and behavioral adaptations. Ooh, good. Oh, yep.
So why did I get that one wrong?
Okay, so nocturnal activity is a behavioral because it's them out hunting and they're nocturnal so they can see. Where it's not physical because it's not something that is physical. So it's not their fur, it's not their ears, it's something that they actually do. So it's behavioral. All right, so today's goal was to be able to identify the main idea and at least 2 supporting details from a nonfiction passage using evidence from the text. Okay, so what strategies helped you today?
Cutting out the main idea and putting it with the main idea.
Good, yeah. I think that was a really good strategy to find the main ideas and stuff, is cutting them out and figuring out which ones were correct and which ones weren't. So, what did you learn?
I learned adaptations about animals and polar bear.
Yeah, good. You learned about the polar bear adaptations and some of the other animals through your games. What challenged you?
the games the
Yes.
most.
Sometimes there were trick questions or they got pretty tricky because we didn't really focus on all the animals. So that can get hard. You did an amazing job finding supporting details today. Tomorrow that we are going to practice more on how to explain your thinking on a deeper level. So here's your exit ticket. You're going to fill out your exit ticket and you're going to turn it in when you are complete. All right, thank you. Good job today.